All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn. Hi, Jeff. I see familiar faces and a new family as well. How are you, Jeff?
Pretty good, Lupe. How are things on your end?
Good too. Rebecca and Dana are out of town, so I'm the one hosting the Lunch and Learn, but they'll be back next week and it'll be regular Lunch and Learns. We're just gonna wait for a little bit more people to join and then we'll get started with our Lunch and Learn. Okay, before we get started with our Lunch and Learn, I just want to go over a couple Zoom rules for anyone that's joining us for the first time. So please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We do recommend speaker view for presentation, and video sharing is optional, but we just like to see everyone's smiling faces, so if that's an option. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. We like to see people interact with our speaker. And if you're not comfortable with sharing your questions out loud, I'll read the chats and I'll ask those questions. But at the end, we'll have a short Q&A if you want to ask your questions or have any comments. For anyone that's new, here's a couple Autism Tree updates. We do offer 19 programs. 13 of those are in person, 3 are hybrid, and 3 are virtual. We have 7 upcoming events in January, so just check out our social media. We always add new events each week. The upcoming events for this weekend are our NCL scavenger hunt. It's an all-girls event. It's going to be at the Balboa Park. It's from 12 p.m. to 2, and it's happening this Saturday on the 21st. We also have our adaptive dance for ages 5 through 10 happening on Saturday as well at our Tap Fever Studios. That class is for in-person, but you're more than welcome to join online. We also have our musical play group that's happening this Saturday at the Music Therapy Center. That one has a wait list, but you're more than welcome to join just in case any spots open up. And that's happening from 1 to 1:45. Up to date, we do have 491 impact videos on our YouTube channel. So subscribe today. We add all of our Lunch and Learns to our YouTube channel. And up to date, we also have 104 Lunch and Learns uploaded to our YouTube, and this is 105th. And now I will pass it on to Angelina, who will introduce our speaker today.
Hello to you all, it's Angie. I was lucky enough to present with Social Security last week. And as a parent with a child with disabilities, I've for 26 years been advocating, and I work with all these different agencies. And one of the other agencies I've been working with is with Leah Schicker at Department of Rehab and her team. And when it's real life and it's a parent and you see all of the different services out there and the coordination of them, this is an amazing program that they offer, and they have many services at their fingertips. Department of Rehab, they're involved with, there's always, I term it scaffolding as to for your child, what their abilities are, what their disabilities are, and how old they are, and what their needs are. And Leah's team is amazing at working with that, because as your child gets to maybe working age, obviously Social Security comes into play, but you want them to be able to have the appropriate work. And the Department of Rehab has the relationships and the partnerships to work with you for your child to find the appropriate work program, independent living programs, but vocational rehab services, day programs, all different types of employment which fit their needs or their passion. And so that's why I thought it was so important to have Leah talk to you all today, because there's so many different options and they're wonderful, accessible to talk to and work with to help you or your child. So Leah, take it off.
Hi, everyone. My name's Leah, and I'm at Department of Rehabilitation. So I have a few things to share. So one, we're going to show a video. This was like a state-approved video that we show our consumers. Before COVID, I guess, we used to do informational sessions and brought our clients to the office. And so this video will kind of show you our program, and then I have like a little slideshow I'll go over. If you have questions along the way, I'll just get through the slideshow real quick, and then, if you want to type them in the chat, we can definitely answer them. But as of right now, if you don't mind putting that video on, and then we'll go from there.
And please let me know if you're able to hear the video as well.
Welcome to the California Department of Rehabilitation. DOR works in partnership with consumers and other stakeholders to provide services and advocacy in pursuit of employment, independent living, and equality for Californians with disabilities. At DOR, it is our fundamental belief that individuals with disabilities can be fully integrated and highly productive community members, employees, and colleagues. To be eligible for services, an individual must have a physical or mental disability that substantially impedes his or her ability to secure employment, require vocational rehabilitation services to prepare for, secure, retain, or regain employment consistent with the applicant's unique strengths, resources, priorities, concerns, abilities, capabilities, interests, and informed choice. Program participants are expected to be available, responsible, active, and dedicated contributors to their own success. To be equal, a disability is not a limitation. All people with disabilities have the right to work, perform, and contribute to society. Be independent. With a dedicated sense of personal commitment, anyone with a disability can attain a level of independence that not only increases their self-worth, but also minimizes the strain on taxpayer-funded financial support. Be employed. With training and support, an individual with a disability can access new opportunities to have a higher quality of life. We tailor our services to each person individually to ensure a greater chance for success. A vocational rehabilitation team works closely with each job seeker to establish the best combination of services and resources necessary to prepare for, find, and retain employment. Our services include benefits planning, career assessment and counseling, job search and interview skills, independent living skills, career education and training, and assistive technology. Businesses benefit from programs that support the recruitment and hiring of people with disabilities. Hiring an individual with a disability is an opportunity. Employees with disabilities bring unique experiences and understanding that can transform workplaces, products, and services. Several incentives are available, including tax incentives in the form of the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and on-the-job training. Incentives can help cover the cost of accommodations for employees with disabilities. By hiring people with disabilities, employers are the key to DOR's mission. DOR provides education and information to businesses and can help with integration when needed. We believe in the talent and potential of individuals with disabilities. For more information, visit our website at www.dor.ca.gov. or follow us on social media. You can also subscribe to our latest news at www.dornews.org.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why. I just realized that they put independent living on there. I feel like that's the term that sometimes gets a little cross-referenced, because while we don't necessarily help with independent living, we can for sure give resources. But we have had people come in that have asked about independent living services. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear. But generally, if you have a child that is with regional center, they should be the ones to kind of help with that. But as I mentioned, DOR has resources, so we can always refer them outside of that. Do you have the slide? Okay, you can go to the next one. So this just talks about general services at Department of Rehabilitation that we offer. And as mentioned before, the California Department of Rehabilitation works in partnerships with consumers and other stakeholders to provide services and advocacy in pursuit of employment, independent living, and equality for Californians with disabilities. And not just Californians, but if you have a child or know someone that has a disability that moves out of state, every state has their own vocational rehabilitation. It's just called something different in state. So, those services should never be lost. You will find them no matter what, but the services might possibly be different just because every state has their own laws and regulations as well. You can move forward. At DOR, it's our fundamental belief that individuals with disabilities can be fully integrated and highly productive community members, employees, and colleagues. So for eligibility for services, you either have to have a physical or mental impairment. Generally, this is something that's lifelong, as autism. Require vocational rehabilitation services to prepare, secure, retain, or regain employment. So for eligibility, as long as we have something that states disability, it could be a letter from a doctor. It could even be the IPP from San Diego Regional Center that would easily qualify you. So you don't technically have to have a full stack of documents, just anything indicating disability would do. Go ahead. Oh, did we miss one? Or did I talk about it? Yeah, you can move forward. This one's fine. So the main goal of Department of Rehabilitation is to obviously have our clients find successful employment and be independent. So this is why we have people apply, so that we can help them in order to live self-sufficiently and, feel great about their lives, just as everybody else should. And then we tailor our services to each person individually to ensure a greater chance for success. And generally, this could just mean, some students or clients are ready for employment, and some of them might need to go to school in order to obtain that employment goal. So if their employment states that they need to have a bachelor's or some type of certificate or vocational training, then this would mean that, we would help them with school in order to successfully find employment. So, each individual doesn't necessarily obtain the same services. We like to say that, while some of those services are offered throughout our clients, just because one client might have those services doesn't necessarily mean that other clients receive the same. But it is individually placed, and generally, we like to make that fair in terms of what people are allowed to receive. So services that we offer are benefits planning. So if you do have someone or know someone that's on Social Security and they are going to obtain employment, we would connect them with our work incentive planner. This doesn't necessarily happen in the beginning. So once an employment is made or they are job ready, then we would connect them with the work incentive planner. Career assessment and counseling. If you have someone that's going to apply for DOR but isn't necessarily sure, what type of career, what options there are. Sorry, got muted. So if someone is looking for just different type of job, kind of tired of what they've been doing, we do offer assessments in-house. We used to refer out, but unfortunately, due to COVID, we kind of lost some of those contacts, which is unfortunate because some of them are really great. But the assessments that we do offer here are great also. It's our grad student assistant, and we give the COPS, CAPS, and COPES assessments. So they kind of tell what our abilities, our values, and our interests are. And we often like to go over those with the client to ensure that they'll have success within that field. And I like to be very open and honest. And, if I feel that it's not necessarily a good choice, then, I'll talk to the client about that. But at the end of the day, it is informed choice. So we expect our clients to make an informed decision based on what their interests are. And then job search and interview skills. So the job search can also come with the assessment, trying to figure out, what career path is best for them. But when a client is ready to specifically look for work, we refer them to employment agencies that we specifically work with, and we pay them to help our clients with disabilities find employment. So with that, they will help with the job search, interview skills, resume, and a lot of those agencies have a lot of contacts throughout San Diego. And just because an agency, I think sometimes agencies such as maybe Goodwill, people assume, oh, well, they're only going to work at Goodwill. It's not necessarily true. They do have employment options where they help clients look for work outside of the agency. And we talked about independent living skills. This isn't necessarily something that we do. I'm not really sure why, to be honest, they have that there. But as I mentioned, we do have connections and we can definitely help, find resources. And career education and training. So as discussed before, if a client needs to have a specific training in order to become employable, then we can help with that within a certain means. So that would be up to the client and the counselor to discuss that together. And not every plan is approved in terms of training, but as long as it's realistic, then we can definitely help. And another thing with training is if a client is going to go to a 4-year college and decides to go to a 4-year school, but it's private, we only pay the state rate of tuition. So the client would be responsible for paying the remaining fee themselves. And assistive technology, that is something that we help with. So if we have a client that needs something in order to obtain or maintain employment, we can help with that. If a client is going to school, generally we would refer to Student Disability Services because they should be providing the assistive technology. But if they need other things, which is always has been the case, we have someone we can refer to for an assistive technology assessment to see what that client needs. So it's very specific, and it's really up to if the client needs that, but it is a service that we offer. And then as mentioned in the video, just how hiring people with disabilities is a great incentive for employers. And, if any of you have ever been to Jobtoberfest, you'll see how many employers are really a part of wanting to hire people with disabilities. So it's great. And, as a state agency, we have a ton of connections with employers throughout San Diego, not just that, but with state agencies as well. You can skip this. And as mentioned, we have different social media, and you can always follow. There's always new things developing within the Department of Rehabilitation. As a state agency, things change all the time. So it's always great to just keep an eye out to see, what new developments, what new programs we have to offer. And if you ever have questions, you're more than free to contact me if you need, or Angie as well. But I will take questions if anybody has. Do we have questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
My name's Dave, and I guess everybody's on screen, so I should get on screen.
Uh-huh.
Hang on here. Yeah, my son is 21, and my wife applied for his to be in the DOR back when he was 16.
Okay.
And what happened was we had to place him in a private school or what do you call it? Non-private, where the district had to pay for it up in Del Mar. So he was in Del Mar at Winston,
Mhm.
and the caseworker never got a hold of us.
Was this through high school?
Yes,
Okay. And how old is he now?
he's 20.
Okay. And is he like, what types of services? See, unfortunately, when it comes to the high schools, especially if it's like a private, I wouldn't really know much, but I do work with TPP, which is the transition program
Mhm.
that's offered through like Trace at the school. So we do a lot of work with youth as well. So I'm sorry that that happened. But the
Well, okay,
school should have definitely.
Yeah, the question is he still in the system? I mean, they drop him, or I mean, you know.
So was he with the school or was he with DOR?
Well, I don't know. He was at he's at Winston High
Mhm.
School, and my wife had him in the system in Mission Valley office.
Oh,
When we transferred to Del Mar, that person dropped the ball. We never heard anything. We don't even know
yeah.
if he's in the system anymore.
Okay. So chances are, and just for confidentiality, you could always reach out to me personally. We can have my email sent out and I can look him up, but chances are, from the way it sounds, his case may have been closed. But he is always eligible to apply for services for Department of Rehabilitation if he is looking for employment, or if he is looking to go to school for any type of certification or whatever his end goal may be. Those services are there, so he would just need to reapply. And these days it's just as easy to go onto our website and apply for services, and generally should be contacted within a few days after that with a counselor
Okay, so he
for
needs to
help.
reapply. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so he needs to reapply. Now, okay, so when we reapply, I guess it'll tell us whether he's in the system or not, right?
Sure. Yes.
Dave, can you hear me? It's Angie.
Hi.
Okay, I'm in Del Mar too. The big quick thing, just like what Leah said, is send her a confidential email to see if they can find him in their system.
Mhm.
And if they're there, they can have a meeting. And if he's still in file, they can have a regroup meeting because he's obviously older now. But the other thing, you said he's 20 or 21?
20. He'll be 21 next month.
Okay, from in terms of Department of Rehab and what they could have done, really what their services would do would kick in now 18, 19, 20, 21 with community college and work and all of that. So this is good timing that you're having these questions to find out if he's set up.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to ask, he's 21, and so he's been at Grossmont and he's doing really good. He's gonna finish in May and be able to transfer to either UCSD or SDSU. So I mean, we're really proud of him. But the pandemic came in handy because he didn't have to go on campus because he just.
So you need to talk to Leah right away to find out if he's in the system, because they can help with that transition to the next school for his bachelor's. And like she said, cover some of the cost at a contractor rate, and then helping with jobs once he gets out. So you're not late, you're not behind. I bet follow up with her right away.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And let me just mention, if he does go to a 4-year, like a state school, UCSD or San Diego State, like for San Diego State, for instance, we are contracted with Workability 4, and they're an employment agency on the San Diego State campus, and they work with our clients / students at the time that they're on campus. So when your son's getting ready, I would say maybe like after a year that he's been there, maybe if he wants to start looking for internships, we'll connect him with Workability, and we pay them to work with him, or more so like we're contracted to send our clients to them. And I think even when he graduates, he can work with them up to a year past graduation. But regardless, let's just say for whatever reason, he's had trouble finding work. He can always work with DOR in order to find employment. Maybe at some point we would just connect him with a different employment agency. See what I mean? But San Diego State, he would have more of an option. UCSD, unfortunately, we don't have a contract. A great school, love it. But it just, unfortunate that we don't have anybody.
Yeah,
But
we're not real big on that.
yeah, but when he's ready to find employment, it doesn't mean that we can't connect him with an agency so we can start looking.
Oh,
But yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, DOR would be here to support him if he was a client. We would make sure that he has all the steps necessary, such as signing up for student disability services on campus, to make sure he's being supported. If financially we do need to help, we would work with you on that. We would just require that you sign up for financial aid every year. So we do look at comparable benefits being a state agency. So if your son is going to be going to school and is requesting DOR help, we would have him apply for FAFSA every year. And we would just need that award or denial letter. If he's awarded money, great. If he's not, then we'll take over that fee. We just need to have that letter because we would look at federal aid first, and then whatever federal aid he doesn't get, then the state will take over that.
Now, but are you talking about covering tuition?
Yes.
Is that family income based?
So it would go off. So if you claim him, I guess, on taxes and you make over a certain amount, and even if you're denied that, or he's denied financially, we will still assume the cost, but we still need that letter that says he was denied aid for that year.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay,
that's every year, every fiscal year.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Mhm.
So yeah, and my main concern regarding DOR is wondering, not
Mhm.
concern,
Yeah,
but question, wondering about the services and stuff. He's very smart and he's very
Mhm.
personable. He's just extremely shy,
Mhm.
and he has almost zero skills outside. I mean, we're afraid to let him walk down to the store because he just doesn't pay attention to the traffic. I'm like, you don't get a second shot. If you get hit, that's it. So we're really, I feel like anyway, he's doing the school, he's doing well. He has zero. I know, and I think he really wants to do something outside, like volunteer, internship. I don't know, something like that. He might be able to squeeze him in a few hours a week would be great. He loves government and history and politics, and we thought, man, it would be neat if he could work over at the congressperson's office here on Adams Avenue near our house. That would be great if he could volunteer there. But I don't know if you guys have any connections like that.
We have a business specialist at DOR that does have those types of connections in terms of maybe like more so like localized jobs and whatnot. But you also mentioned, maybe soft skills, maybe he's not necessarily receiving that. We do have resources for types of classes like that. Like just at the top of my head, San Diego Community College, their continuing education department has classes based off soft skills. And it's directed for people with disabilities to kind of help, figure out, how do you respond in the workplace? How do you act in the workplace? If someone's asking you a question, that kind of stuff,
That's great.
So there's occupational outlook. Let me look up the programs. And then, real quick, if you guys look in the chat box, I sent a link for DOR. You can easily apply for DOR services just off that link. Once you're done filling it out, it gets sent to us, and then they distribute it, the client. So as I mentioned, you should be contacted now within a few days of applying for services. We don't do all the mundane paperwork anymore. It's a lot quicker to get services, to get, started. And then let me send a link also for those classes, because those are important too, Let let me see. So we're looking at like soft skills, I guess.
And then for anyone that's interested in these resources, we will send a recap email on Friday with all this information that Leah's providing.
Oh, great.
And then we do have a question from a parent. It says,
Mhm.
Leah, how do I get in, can I connect with you? Because I would love to personally chat like
Sure.
we're having right now, but I feel like there's not enough time.
No problem. Let me send my email.
Mhm.
I can't find that link right now, but I'll look for it. But as I remembered right now, I was just talking to Rachel Martinez, who works for C2C. She and I were just on a contract meeting because I actually have all of her clients. And College Career is a great program, but you know, Dave, I know you mentioned your son's getting ready to transfer, but you know, if you know of anybody that is within regional center, because there's certain guidelines. This is a great starting point for students to come into the college, but it's San Diego Community College District specifically. But as you know, there's a wide range of campuses now. So if you know anybody that's interested, we could always refer them to Rachel, but she'll be here next week to discuss the program. So I don't want to like talk too much into that. I'll let her discuss it, but they do work with DOR and, you know, it's a great start and to getting extra help too while in school. So she would also have a lot of those flyers for the like soft skills and all those other programs. She might easily have them more on her than I do. But if I find them, I will send them your way.
Thank you.
And yeah,
And to the
Right.
parents on this, what Leah's talking about, we've had the Regional Center, College to Career, Department of Rehab, CalAble, all of them work together because like Leah's saying, every person is different that requires services, hard
Mhm.
skills, soft skills, comprehension, maybe physical disabilities. So they work really, really well to define together what they can and can't do, what's their passion, what do they really love, what do they not want. So you're asking the right questions as parents. And next week we'll have Rachel because we work with her as well, and they handhold you into college. Phenomenal, introduce you to the DSPS, Disability Services Counseling. And after a semester or two, guess what? They've learned the ropes. They can say, advocate for themselves. They know what they want to do. And they'll work hand in hand with Leah on her department of rehab.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. And, you know, unfortunately, it is like San Diego Community College District. So they're not outside of that. But, you know,
No.
if you know of anybody that can do it, I highly recommend it.
Is there any more questions or comments?
Is that the program for next week that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have Rachel presenting next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be at the same time. And then, yeah,
We got them all.
go
I
ahead.
have
Charlie.
I have a question.
Huh?
My son started with this college program process back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
It did not exist at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little battle and now it does. And I'm so encouraged that there's so many things so many opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So Eric got his bachelor's
Mm-hmm.
and they assisted me at the state college level with tuition at Point Loma Nazarene. I thought we were finished. He ended up at San Diego State College getting a master's in public administration.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
thought we were finished. And then he said to me, Mom, there's something else I need to do. What?
Oh, God.
Law school. So Department of Rehabilitation didn't think he could do that, but after the 2 years at Cal Western, they saw he could. and they paid for his 3rd year of law school. And the test, which he passed the first time, he wanted to do special education law.
Mhm.
And that's what he's doing for free because he can't get employed.
Oh.
People are afraid of the autism thing, and yet
Mhm.
he's brilliant.
Mhm.
And so he has some kids that he works with that have autism.
Mhm.
And for a period of time, we were with partnerships with industry trying to get, he had a year's internship with a local attorney in special ed. And then we transitioned into the paid internship program.
Mhm.
That was an experience because not all lawyers are created equal.
Sure.
And he will not work in an environment that has unethical practices.
Mhm.
So for a while, he was assigned, he had the partnerships with industry and the Department of Rehab
Mhm.
starting to work together to find him employment. And then the pandemic hit. So right now, I don't know, like Dave there, I don't know that if he's still in a system. He had a person assigned to him.
Mhm.
And then partnerships with industry became Pride, and it just, everything has fallen apart.
Mhm.
So we're trying to reestablish something. So he's applied to, oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many jobs in law. And legal research, he does some piecemeal things for other attorneys and gets paid on a small per hour basis. But it's just been very frustrating because the so-called job developers at Pride are, I mean, it's been a revolving door of human beings, and they moved on to something else. Signed up for options for all, but there's a wait list. So I'm not sure whether, I mean, can we come back and with Department of Rehab? People are afraid, with the autism
Sure.
thing. He even did a documentary for Arts and Entertainment on the employables in 2018.
Mhm.
And they showcased about 6 different people.
Mhm.
I'm kind of, we're a bit lost, and I'm discouraged in getting older.
Sure. I can tell you, he's in our system.
Okay,
I can't really tell you much more, but we
All right.
can, yeah. But you can always email me and then I'll help
Okay.
you connect. But just like counselors, like if you were to ever go to therapy, not every counselor works right for each individual, let's say.
Right.
But I don't mean that in terms of who his
know.
counselor may be, but I mean that in terms of agency. Maybe
Yeah.
the agency he's working with isn't the right fit. So maybe there needs to be a discussion about looking into different options of agencies, maybe who might be a better fit. That's always a possibility. I know like all the counselors here really do try their best, because obviously at the end of the day, our focus is to help find employment, successful employment for our clients. But sometimes it's just as simple as changing the agency and seeing what other options of people that are out there that work with clients. And a lawyer is very specific. You have to look into just the fact that it is higher education, right? I don't know, there's other things that could be talked about, maybe like possible internships.
Well,
I
that's
think
we've been trying to get.
yeah,
something
but
like that.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like maybe a
Yeah.
possible, I mean, maybe there's nothing wrong, let's just say, with the agency he's working with, but maybe it's not a good fit for him, and maybe he could request something else. there's always options, but, you know, I think if you want to connect, we can discuss that, you know, off this meeting. So just email me. My email's right there and I'll get back to you just on the information that you're wanting.
I do want to say, like, when we started, Department of Rehab did not pay for anyone on the spectrum for
Mhm.
college or vocational school.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started.
Mm-hmm.
And college to career came along after that. One of our friends, two of our friends have gone through that program successfully. And then when they agreed to pay for Eric with law school, at least in the third year, that opened the door for others to do
Mhm.
that kind of higher education. So I want to thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting emotional.
No, it's great. It's okay. But you know, just, you know, paying back off what you're saying, it's great because now we're allowed to pay for higher education for people with disabilities. So, you know, it really goes to show you just because you have disability doesn't mean you can't do it, you know?
Right.
And you know, I have a few clients that I'm happy to say are in higher education right now. So it's just great to see, you know. And I mean, it does seem that your son is very smart. So, you know, there's options out there, you know, it's just about, but really about finding the person to kind of help, you know. So, you know, I hope he doesn't lose sight of what he was trying to do. And, you know, there are options out there, but, you know, like you said, you know, he's not going to work with someone that's not ethical and he's going to work within his own guidelines. So, you know, I can commend him for that too.
Kids that he's working with, if they're with autism and they're doing first grade work in the 5th grade, and he's been able to get them into non-public placement.
Mhm.
And they're now doing, this one boy is now doing 4th grade work in the 5th grade after about 6 months.
Oh,
It
that's
just
great.
keeps understanding what
Sure.
their needs are, what assessments are needed in order
Right.
to get them up to that level. And
Yeah, he's functioning as an advocate.
yes,
And that's
yes,
great. There's so many people who need that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, I don't personally have a disability myself, but from all the parents that I've talked to, especially with children, like with actual children, like smaller kids, you know, they have no idea what resources are out there. But it's just so, you know, devastating to see how much you really have to just like pull the rope to try to get information, you know. But, you know, it's great to see this program, Autism Tree, that's there to give all those resources. It's just, you know, I hope that there are a lot of programs out there for other disabilities and other students. And, you know, it would be great to like go into the school systems and, you know, offer that kind of resources to parents as well.
well, Garrett's going to law school, isn't he? I told him.
I don't think the school's going to let advocates go in, you know, that's the last thing they want is advocates.
I know.
Well, you know, just resource that even to like, you know, the school district or, you know, they have to have certain things, you know, for students that have IEPs. So,
Yeah.
I work with the school districts constantly doing healthcare and school services. And I'm at schools all the way, actually Colorado, Oregon, all over California, all the way down to the border. And IEPs, and then we migrate them to IPPs after they come out of school and the work program. The schools have been phenomenal because it helps. The worst thing is the parent doesn't know, they don't know all the services out there, so they don't have the questions, and the kid goes down the wrong path, or they're not getting the right services. And that's when there's lawsuits. That's the last thing the school districts want, because it's wasted money. All it wins is the attorneys. And
Sure.
so when she's talking about her son, I'm thinking out loud here because I created the paid internship program at the regional center. They didn't have that. And between Department of Rehab and the regional center, it's the contacts they have, and also this lady's son's contacts. He's worked at law firms, or he's talked with them, or he's working part-time, or he's doing advocacy. That's where they should sit down with your team, Leah, and say, okay, who are the contacts? Here's our contacts at Department of Rehab. We don't
Mhm.
have the contacts you have, but we put them together, and maybe there's a paid internship because there's no skin off the nose of that company because you're paying, or the regional center is paying for the internship. Gets him in the door, they see
Yeah.
what he can do, and after the internship, most of the time they want to hire you.
Yeah, well, that happened with Rachel will talk about it next week, I'm sure, but one of our mutual clients / students, she did the paid internship and then she got hired, so. But,
And then my son did the paid internship at a TV video film
Oh, right.
broadcast company here, and people know one another. And
Mhm.
then at your Options for All for the video film
Mhm.
program, he met, it was like speed dating, Spectrum, ABC, NBC, Cox Communications, like speed
Right.
dating. It was like, oh my God. And from that, Cox
Well, it's almost like a
Communications
quote,
hired him as a
to
contractor.
get a job, you have to
part-time,
kind of
which is
know
cool.
people,
Mm.
you have to, it's unfortunate, but
That's why I'm saying
Yes.
it's the connections. That's why you sit down, you have a brainstorming session. Who are the contacts this young man
Mhm.
has worked with or got furthest with communication? There's some bonding, they understand him. And then what Department of Rehab
Mhm.
knows and the connections you have, because you can't have every connection with every company in every industry vertical. It's just,
Right.
it's a shame you can't have it. But that's where the meeting needs to go to work out his path.
Well, I will say even from when I first started as a counselor here compared to now, how many more options are available, how many newer programs are available. Just even the discussion of higher education, that just came about not that long ago. So, it definitely seems there's a lot more progress, I guess you could say. Mhm. Oh, you're muted.
Things have changed a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was gonna, Angelina, do you know Sarah Frampton?
Yep.
I know that'll bring a couple of chuckles to people's faces. Well,
Horrible.
yeah,
Does not
well,
have your kid's best interest at heart.
she's still running around,
Horrible.
terrorizing the district.
She's around, but she's terrorizing.
She
I
is
run
what
into
she
her
is.
off and on.
Well, my wife's a special ed teacher, so we've been on both sides of the fence so many times on
Mhm.
the San Diego School District. I mean, my after 20 years, the conclusion that I've come to is they did a cost risk ratio calculation, and they figured, and this is the way it was before, maybe it's changing. They're like, we'll take our chances on getting sued rather than just put in good programs for kids with autism. I mean, there's a lot of teachers that they don't have the resources and they don't have the training and they don't have the support they need to do
Sure.
the job right. And this is specifically for higher functioning kids.
Mhm.
It's the STARS program, but it's very limited. I mean, it's a good try, but it's limited. But I got very frustrated because I felt like they just figured, when they're looking at the cost analysis, they figured, we'll take our risk on getting sued, and ultimately it'll actually be cheaper when paying lawsuits than just sitting down and doing a plan and investing in a really solid program. And it's just really made me bitter, with
Yeah.
the way we were treated.
Well, the sad reality of this, I hate to tell you, the sad reality, and I work with schools, all over the county, is, and you can say wealthy neighborhoods and less wealthy neighborhoods, guess what? They're all suffering the same thing. We just lost 12 special ed teachers in San Diego Unified School District. And that's because of the internal crap going on up here, micromanaging from the superintendent. I've spoken at board meetings. We can't stop it, but the
Yeah.
teachers are leaving in droves. And
Well,
some
I
of them,
can't
I run
support
into
it.
them. I run into them at San Diego Unified at other schools, and I'm like, oh my God, you're here. And they're like, we couldn't stand it up there. So they've been moving around. Problem is, there's also a shortage of resources. I've got kids on IEPs where they're supposed to be a special ed teacher and the regular teacher, pull-outs, push-ins and all that. They don't have a separate teacher. They don't have a special ed teacher.
Yeah.
There's not enough resources going around. And that's why it's so important to know about college to career, Department of Rehab, the regional center,
Yeah.
because even though we can bitch and moan, the resources aren't all there, and the system is strained.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it
I
costs
can't
so
get
much for us to go to school. I think about how much money. He went to Newbridge for 7 years, and then he went to Winston, and that's one student. I mean,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the money that they're throwing
And now they
away.
want to shut Winston. Now they want to shut Winston.
Yeah,
There's a
Yeah,
lawsuit going on that one now.
yeah. Yeah. Well, the new bridge was an angel for our son up to middle school. But we're very grateful. And
Well, that's good to
I
hear.
saw, I don't, her name's, it's not Eric, but I saw her speaking and getting emotional. It's like, I am so grateful for what we've received. You know, I mean, it's just a miracle, you know. But
And is
we
your
have-
son a,
Well, from the,
oh, sorry, is your son a regional center client?
Yes, he is.
Well, and then the great thing is that, you know, he has lifelong resources as well, the regional center.
And you know, I
So no
have,
matter what, you'll always be able to connect with DOR.
that's good. Yeah, both my sons are,
right,
Mhm.
well, this is great.
so just so you know, Dave, what we've set up, because I work with all these agencies on a continuous basis, and that's why I felt it was so important for the Autism Association here. And I'm talking about kids with any different disabilities, but like, so next week we have the San Diego Regional Center. So I've got them presenting. The week after that, I'm actually presenting from my point of view. And then the week of February 8th, we have College to Career presenting. So they're all the different areas. And bottom line is some of them, they all have different resources, but you should be working with all of them, because you can have a frustration with one because they just don't have the people or the resources to cover what you need. And you have the regional center work in conjunction with Department of Rehab. And I've always gotten everything that we've ever needed for all my different clients, just how to work it around. And I can tell by the parents on here, you've been around the block. It's just as our kids grow and change, and we want them to find a job and be self-sufficient somehow and have their self-esteem and their passion and find the path for them. I totally get it.
Mhm.
And thank you, Angelina, for touching base on that. For our next couple lunch and learns, we'll have more resources next week. San Diego Regional Center, and then you, Angelina, and then the college to career. So thank you. I want to say thank you, Sandy, for sharing that beautiful story about Eric. I know Eric is
It's
amazing.
amazing.
Oh, we were on the phone earlier just hearing about what he did earlier. It's I want to meet Eric. I don't think I've ever met Eric, but he seems amazing.
I know, I want to meet him
You
too,
can-
because it's interesting, you know.
can
with, like,
find
law
on-
and- Yeah,
on YouTube or Facebook on YouTube. Eric Weber, ERIK Weber, has a channel and he makes videos.
Oh,
Wow.
I didn't know that.
And so what we did this last weekend, a family that we've worked with. Originally, we were with Special Olympics, but we've had a parting of the ways. I won't go into that. Other than I ran their children's program, the only one in town for about 7 years, young athletes. And but Eric and I was also the track coach. So running and anxiety, that's a great fit. So my son, had this boy with us since 10 years old. He's now 16, and he's coached him all the way up to his first marathon. And that's what we did over the weekend. He ran with him in his first marathon alongside of him, just as he did with the half marathon, because the boy has autism, OCD, eating disorders, and he wanted to give him that self-esteem and that confidence that he could do that. He could be in the crowd, and there were 5,000 people. And about 6 miles into it, the young man said, okay, I want to go faster. Okay, well, Eric is 34 going on 13, and this kid is 16. So he took off. He did the race in 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 37 seconds.
Wow.
And his brother, his younger brother, who doesn't have a disability, he's been coaching along or running alongside him. And he did the half marathon. And the 12-year-old that has eating disorders, he did the 5K. So this totally dysfunctional family, parents, etc., had to work through all of this and support their kids for a change. And the oldest boy is now also doing online college. He's in high school. He's earned a Letterman jacket, track and field, because of my son's mentoring. So it was just really awesome, but that's what my son does. Every Saturday, we're over at Choyas Lake. Anybody who wants to show up. I mean, when the pandemic shut everybody down, he said, no, I'm not doing that. Some of our kids ended up in the hospital with suicide, trying to commit suicide because of their lack of being able to be together. And so we're there, and he works them out, and they walk. If they want to walk, they run, they do pull-ups, they do any kind of sport activity, and try to match that up with giving them self-esteem and encouragement. And I mean, that's what I did with my son. And so he's paying it forward. So that was the story that I was telling. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. I know Karen is no longer here, but she said this Lunch and Learn is a valuable resource. She said, thank you. And Angelina, she said, you share your son's article in the San Diego Union Tribune, actually. And I do recommend people checking that out. It's just amazing what her son Tyler did. So if you guys have a moment, I do recommend checking out that article. But we're just reaching our hour, and if everyone's comfortable sharing their screen, we're going to take a group photo. It's a Lunch and Learn tradition before we end off. And I just wanted to say thank you to Leah and Angelina for coming today and sharing all these resources for us.
Thank you.
It's fabulous.
And if everyone's ready, 1, 2, 3. Let me take a second one for good measure. All right, thank you everyone for coming to this Lunch and Learn, and we hope to see you guys at our next Lunch and Learn with the San Diego.
Thanks for having me.
Great,
Yeah.
that's great. I appreciate everybody's sharing. That's great.
Yeah, and you guys all have my email, so if you want to keep it for reference, please do, and reach out for any questions.
Yeah, and then we'll send out a recap with all that information too.
Mhm.
All right, thank you so much. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Leah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.